Hey guys, Toby Mathis here, and today we're going to go over 5 financial secrets
you should never tell anyone.
So here's something I see every time somebody gets sued.
Scammed, blindsided, financially. We kind of go back through what happened and we find the same thing.
Somewhere along the way, they told the wrong person the wrong thing,
or they allowed the wrong person to find out something about them. In the legal profession, there's an old rule. If you want to take someone down, and I mean hammer them, you do not start with strangers. You look for the ex-spouse, you look for the ex-business partner, you look for the ex-employee, maybe an angry family member. You look for the person that used to be close. Why? Because strangers guess. But insiders know, they know your secrets. They know what you make. They know what you own. They know where you're weak. They know what you said when you thought nobody would ever use it against you. That is why there's an old saying during World War II, loose lips sink ships. It's not just a slogan, it's a warning. Small details, mom writing a letter to a son, or a son writing a letter to a mom. Having a conversation on the phone to somebody listening. And small details with the wrong person can get those ships sunk. It could get people killed. It could give the enemy just enough information to do damage. Make sure that U-boats waiting for them. And the same thing happens in life. News lip sync deals. They sink businesses. They sink marriages. They sink careers. They sink dreams. And if you're trying to rise above that norm, you have to understand something. The hidden danger of sharing too much. Most people never figure out people. They can be like crabs in a bucket. If you've ever seen a bucket full of crabs, you know you don't need a lid on that bucket. Why? Because every time a crab starts climbing out, the other crabs reach up, grab it, and pull it right back into the bucket. And people tend to do the same thing. Not because they're evil. Just sometimes your success might make them uncomfortable. Sometimes your ambition reminds them that they quit. Sometimes your next move makes them feel small. Sometimes your money creates resentment. Sometimes your dream exposes their excuses. And instead of climbing with you, they pull. They try to take you back down. So today, I want to give you 5 financial secrets the crab bucket mentality explained that you should be very careful about sharing with anybody. Not because you're paranoid, but because you're trying to build something. And if you're trying to build something bigger than average, you cannot keep handing average people the tools to tear it down. Number 1, your salary. Do not casually tell people what you make. I know people like to say, well, why not? What's the big deal? Here's the big deal. Your salary changes how people look at you. Good or bad, it changes things. Secret number 1, never reveal your salary. If they thought you made less and they find out you make more, there might be resentment, some jealousy. If they thought you made more and they find out you make less, you may have lost some of their respect. And if you make less than you, oh my gosh, the jealousy is going to creep in. And if they make more than you, sometimes they feel superior. They're going to start carrying themselves differently around you. Either way, once you give somebody that number, they start filtering you through that number. You're no longer just you, you're your salary. And people start doing math with your life. Well, why didn't he pay for dinner? Why didn't she help? Why is he complaining? He has nothing to complain about. Why does she drive that car? Why did he get the raise? Why does she deserve that? And you gave them a number. And they use that number to tell themselves a story. And here's the problem. They almost never hear the context of that number. You worked your tail off. Maybe working nights, weekends, graveyard shifts, through school. They don't know. They probably don't even care. Maybe you make a lot. Maybe you're supporting your parents or dealing with health issues. Or maybe you do not make as much as they assumed. But you're disciplined. You save. You invest. And you live below your means. They don't know any of that. They don't hear any of that. They hear a number. They see a number. And then the number changes the relationship. How income changes relationships. I've seen this with employees. One person finds out what another person makes. Now the whole workplace is poisoned. I've seen this with families. One family member finds out what other family member makes, and suddenly there's an expectation you should help. You can afford it. You make more than us. You should pay. I've seen it in businesses. Contract or consultant or service provider finds out what you make, and suddenly the price moves. Why? Because they know your ceiling. They know what you can absorb. So here's the rule your CPA may need to know. Your spouse needs to know. Your lender may need to know. Your financial advisor may need to know. The dinner table. It doesn't need to know your friends. They don't need to know your coworkers. They don't need to know your neighbor. Nope, they don't need to know. And the guy who has always got that great investment opportunity definitely doesn't need to know. And potential creditors out there, somebody who wants to shake you down, they don't need you. They don't need to know nothing. Your salary is not small talk. It's not something to be shared. Secret number 2, keep your net worth private. It's sensitive information. Treat it like it matters. Number 2, your net worth. Your salary is what you make. Your net worth is what you've built. Be even more careful with this one, because when you tell somebody what your net worth is, you're not just telling them a number. You're telling them the result of your life's work, the years.
You worked late, the risk you took, the deals you failed, the businesses you built, the money you saved, the vacations you didn't take, the car you did not buy, the investment you held when everybody else freaked out and panicked, the lessons you paid for, the setbacks you survived. That number is not just a number. It's your life's work. And once people know it, they may start believing they have a claim on it. Why wealth attracts lawsuits and shakedowns. This is where things get dangerous, because over and over again, lawyers use financial information to extract a pound of flesh. And that is what litigation does. It looks for leverage when you're being shaken down in a lawsuit. Sometimes they say, I know where you live. If somebody thinks you have nothing, they won't even bother you. Most of the time, if somebody thinks you're worth $5 million, suddenly a minor dispute becomes a six-figure demand. Not because the facts change, because the target changed. Did a video last year with the defense attorney defending our client over an $80 fender bender at Costco. Want to guess how much that deadbeat sued him for? $3 million. Can you say shakedown? Can you say deep pockets? And people miss this? They think I didn't do anything wrong. That may be true, but litigation is not always about right or wrong. Sometimes it's about pressure. Sometimes it's about economics. Sometimes about whether someone thinks you will pay to make the problem go away. And if they know your net worth, they know where to aim. Think about the things you casually say. I paid off my house. Man, I've crossed. Finally crossed 7 figures. Sold my business for X. I've inherited some money. I own so many properties. Blah, blah, blah. You may think you're sharing success. Someone else, they might hear opportunity. Someone else might see a target. Someone else may hear deep pockets. And again, this is not just strangers. Sometimes it's going to be your families. Sometimes it's friends. Sometimes it's an exposed. Sometimes it's a former business partner. Sometimes it's someone who smiled at you for years and quietly resented every bit of your success. That's human nature. So don't hand out your financial x-ray. You can be successful without giving people your balance sheet. You can be generous without exposing your net worth. You could say, we're doing okay. You can say, we're comfortable. You can say, I don't really talk. That's enough, because your net worth is not public property protected. Secret number 3, protect your dreams from critics. Number 3, it's going to sound weird. Your dreams. And this may be the most important one. Do not share your dreams with people who have not earned the right to hear them. If you want to have your dreams tarnished, expose them to the wrong people. Because your dreams, they're yours. They're not for anybody else to judge. And average people will judge extraordinary dreams through average eyes. You say, I'm going to start investing. All of a sudden, mom has 3 stories about people who lost money. Nothing against you, mom. You say, I'm going to buy real estate, and somebody immediately tells you about 2008. You're going to lose everything. You say, I'm going to open a business. And Uncle Bob, who has never opened a successful business in his life, has 3 reasons that it's a horrible idea. You see, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. Somebody laughs, and everybody becomes a risk expert. Where were all these geniuses before they were sitting in the bucket with all the other crabs, just waiting for someone to try and climb out? Just like a crab, as soon as they see somebody you climbing out of the bucket, what do? They grab your leg and they try to pull you down. People do that same thing over and over again. They say, but I'm trying to protect you. No, they are protecting the version of you. They understand they liked you better when your goals were normal. They liked you better when your dreams were safe. They liked you better when your ambition did not make them uncomfortable. The moment you started climbing, they started pulling. Who do you think you are? That'll never work. You're gonna lose everything. You don't know enough. People like us don't do that. And sometimes the answer is no. I do not think I'm better than you, but I'm not staying stuck with you. And that is the part people do not like. Sometimes success requires separations, not arrogance. It requires separation. You have to separate your dream from their fear. You have to separate your ambition from their excuses. You have to separate your future from their comfort zone. And here's another reason not to tell. To tell people your dreams too early. Because talking about your dreams, we've all seen this. People that just talk all the time about what they're going to be doing. That feels like progress. You tell somebody you're going to start a business, he tells somebody you're going to get into shape. You tell somebody you're going to buy your first rental. You tell somebody you're going to write a book in for a moment. Man, that feels good. You feel like you did something, but you didn't. You didn't do anything. You just did this. And talking is not building. Talking is not investing. Talking is not doing. So keep your dreams close till they have roots. Share them with other builders. Maybe you have mentors, so share them with your mentors. Share them with people who've done it before and they're offering you the hand up. Let me help you come up, but stop taking advice on climbing from people who are still in the bucket with all the other crabs. Trust me on this. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I became a lawyer and I had family members who said, well, at least you didn't become a used car salesman. I invested in real estate decades ago.
and I got 20 reasons why I was a schmuck and would lose everything. I did well in real estate, and they shift to all of their successes, lamenting I could have been a contender. I could have done that. Trust me, it just gets in the way. Keep your dreams close to your heart. They're your dreams. Share them only with people who will cherish them and treat them well. Secret number 4, don't publicize family problems. Number 4, family strife. This one is tough because families are complicated. Every family has its issues. There's money issues, marriage issues, parent issues, sibling issues, business issues, inheritance issues. Sometimes you just need to talk to somebody. I'm not telling you to bottle everything up. I'm just telling you to be very careful about who you tell or who you chosen who finds out. Because family strife, once it leaves the right circle, becomes gossip. And gossip becomes leverage in some cases. And leverage becomes pain. And it happens in families all the time. Someone says, my brother's broke. My sister's being cut out. She's doing drugs. She's doing this. My parents are running out of money. Kids can't handle money. Oh my gosh, they're so horrible. There's going to be a war when mom dies. Why would you say that? What good comes from making private family pain a public story? And I know it's tough. Now the problem has an audience. And once a family problem has an audience, people start choosing sides. They start judging. They start repeating it.
How family gossip creates bigger problems. They start adding little details. They start asking questions. They start creating pressure. And now something that was already hard, well, it becomes harder. I've watched families get torn apart, not just because of the original problem, but because the wrong people got brought into the problem. The money issue is survivable. The gossips, not so. Be careful. If you need help, get help. Talk to a counselor. Talk to your spouse. Talk to your priest. Talk to a qualified advisor. Talk to a mentor. Talk to a person who can actually help solve the problem. But do not turn family strife into dinner table entertainment. Do not vent to people who just want the story. Do not hand outsiders your family's dirty laundry and then act surprised when they start waving it around. Some things are hard enough to solve in private. Do not make them impossible by making them public. Now, last one, number 5, don't share your next opportunity. This one costs people money, and I'm talking about real money. Don't tell people about your next opportunity before you control it. Secret number 5, keep opportunities confidential. Do you not tell them about the house you're trying to buy? Do not tell them about the business you're trying to acquire or you're going to start. Don't tell them about the deal before you have it locked up. Do not tell them about the customer you're about to land. Do not tell them about the vendor you found.
Do not tell them about the employee that you're trying to recruit. Do not tell them about the strategy before you have protected your position. Why? Because many lawsuits start with someone sharing an opportunity and the other person doing something bad with that information. They go around them, they went and they bought that house you're looking at. They contacted the seller or they copied the business you were going to do. How deals get stolen. Had a young client who created a very cool gaming keyboard. This was back in the 90s. It was backlit before everything else was. It was built for gaming, and this was years before they became a thing. They were so excited, they decided to make a proof of concept, which they did well. And this is what's sad, is they did not have the right documentation with teeth with the company that designed the proof of concept. So that company took it and created it themselves. Young and gullible, they're open and told everything without making sure their rights were secured first. And there are tons of stories like these. Realtor talks to a colleague about a prospect they're trying to sign up, and the colleague approaches that customer. Business owners talks about a great candidate they want to hire to another business owner, and that their owner hires that employee. Have had that happen a few times. Raise money off of an idea, right? They move first because you were talking and you talked first.
Remember that loose lips sink ships? It doesn't have to be. I'm doing something wrong. It's just that sometimes loose lips will sink your deal or get somebody else will come in and take it. Real life examples of lost opportunities. Now that loose lips that came from wartime, but the lesson is still true in everyday life. Because small details can do damage. During World War II, it was a really simple warning. Don't talk carelessly because the enemy might be listening. Today, the enemy may not be a foreign power. It may be the person sitting right next to you who wants your deal. You could be in a restaurant. You're just talking too loud. It may be the person who smiles and says, that sounds interesting. It may be the person who has just enough questions to figure out how to go around you. It may be the person who says, you should send me the address. I just want to look at it. No, you're looking at a property. Secure it first. Get it under contract. At the document signed. Get the financing lined up. Get your position protected. Then talk if you want to talk.
But until you control the opportunity, you're not sharing it with anybody. You're not like, you may think, hey, I'm just sitting here sharing something that I'm going to be very successful at. But what you're really doing is you're handing somebody a map, and some people will use that map, and that's where you're going to get burned. And they find a good off-market property. They mention it to somebody else in that same circle, and that person calls. Now your deal is gone. Or they find a business opportunity. Something, maybe it's a business for sale. And they tell somebody who has more capital who says, well, that's great. I'm just going to go in and do a cash. I've seen that happen. Somebody else is requiring financing. They're going through it there. They lose lip. They told somebody else who had more capital. That person says that's a great opportunity to comes in cash and says, I might even cut you in a little bit. And they think they're doing you a favor, but your deal is gone. Or you tell somebody about a strategy and somebody else executes that strategy. First opportunity gone, and then what happens? Usually you end up in lawsuits, accusations, minimum. You have broken relationships. You might have years of fighting over something that could have been avoided by just keeping your mouth shut until the deal was protected. That is why successful investors and business owners often seem quiet. The 5 financial secrets recap. They're not slow. They're not unsure. They're not hiding. They're securing things. They move first. They announce later. Sometimes they never announce at all, because the win is enough. So let me bring this all together. The 5 financial secrets you should be very careful about sharing here. Number 1, your salary. Number 2, your net worth. Number 3, your dreams. Number 4, your family strife, your dirty laundry. And number 5, your next opportunity. If you want an average life, talk like everybody else. Tell everybody what you make. Tell everybody what you're worth. Tell everybody your dreams. Tell everybody your family problems. Tell everybody your next big deal. But if you want to rise above average, you have to do things differently. You have to understand that not everybody is cheering for you. Why successful people move quietly. Some people are comparing. Some people are judging. Some people are jealous. Some people want you to fail. They're waiting for you to fail. Some people are looking for leverage they're looking to take. And some are just crabs in a bucket. They just want you back where they are. They want you back where they're comfortable. The goal is to become disciplined. Your salary is not for everybody. Your net worth is not for everybody. Don't post it. Your dreams are not for everyone. Your family strife is not for everyone. And your next opportunity is definitely not for everyone. So be careful about what you say. Be careful who you say it to. And if you're trying to build something bigger than average, stop giving average people the power to pull you back. Because the people who rise above the bucket are not always the smartest. They're not always the most talented. They're not always the loudest. A lot of times there are ones who just climbed quietly and got out of that bucket. And by the time everybody else notices, you're out. What you should share instead. So what should you share? Well, personally, I'm an asset protection attorney, and I believe in getting wealthy in the dark. It comes with less issues. But sharing the light in this world is something that you should do. I believe in that. It's really good. That's why I have the YouTube channel. I want to encourage others. I want to be supportive of other people. I want you to be supportive of your friends. Be generous. Share your wisdom. Share this channel with everybody. That's something you should share. Even more importantly, share your comments. Give your life's experiences, because that is wisdom. Because there's a big difference between sharing specific financial information, your dreams, your family drama, your next deal, versus sharing what you've learned in your time on this planet. Share that, share away. In the comments on that, what you've learned. But remember, knowledge is knowing what to say. Wisdom is knowing when to keep your mouth shut.